Hi everybody and welcome. I'm Dr. Taylor Burrowes and this is my YouTube channel. I help healthy, happy, successful, high-value men and women vet and connect. So today's topic is going to be the follow-up to last week's topic on 13 red flags for women. I have to do the men's version, so here we go. Okay, let's see if we can go through all 13 red flags in under a minute each one. And these aren't in any particular order. Number 1, he is impulsive, impatient, in a rush to escalate things with you. So this is like love bombing. Now, I don't know if you've seen the Tinder swindler. A lot of videos have been covering how to avoid being swindled by someone on one of these dating apps. But it is so important to recognize that a man who leads with his feelings and tries to romance you into commitment and into investing in him in various ways is a red flag, because it's usually not for a good reason, whether it's intentional or not. Perhaps intentionally, he is trying to manipulate you for a purpose that you don't know. Or maybe it's just unintentional and he's not stable. A man who doesn't have self-control and can't regulate his emotions in that way is not a wise investment for you to be making, period. So look for those red flags in order to make sure you are not reciprocating or mirroring that love bombing and escalating the situation before it's time. Number 2, does he mistreat his mother? Because that's definitely a red flag. It's a non-negotiable behavior that you want to look out for. Does he talk badly about her? Is he embarrassed about her? And when you see them interact, is he actively rude and disrespectful towards her? This is going to be a strong correlate to how he will treat you when you're married and have kids. In the beginning of a relationship, it's going to be all romance and the honeymoon stage, and he's going to treat you very differently when he doesn't see you as that level of woman in his life. But later on, it's going to shift. And so looking at his character in his family of origin, like his relationship with his mother, is going to be very clearly indicative of his character as a husband and father. But if he just has a bad relationship with his mother because she's unhealthy or unstable, dysfunctional, perhaps it's a symptom of intergenerational dysfunction, then you want to be looking for whether he's corrected this. If he's interrupted and trying to break the cycle to better himself in order to become a better example for his future family, then that's totally fine, and I would say that's an amber flag that has been resolved. So keep that differentiation in mind because it's an important one. Number 3, has he had an opportunity to be single and alone and still be healthy? If he hasn't, this is a red flag. A man who can't be alone is a man who can't lead himself. And if he needs to be in relationships, whether that's with multiple people at once or just constantly in relationship and isn't able to be single, then that's a red flag because he's going to be desperate. He's going to be needing attention from you, and that's going to lead to a lot of resentment. Or maybe he has a dependent relationship with his family of origin. Now, you need to investigate further if that's the case. Like, is it a cultural thing? Because there's nothing wrong with staying at home with your parents if you are saving money, or that's just the way that you were raised in the culture that you're used to, because there's a lot of good things about that, like family values. But if he's kind of lazy and immature, if he hasn't developed his individuality outside of the home, even if he's living there, like with businesses or with travel, then that's going to be a red flag. So you definitely want to make sure that he's not desperate for a relationship. You want him to choose you, not need you. Number 4, he hasn't had a significant history of long-term relationships. Maybe he's had short-term relationships only. And if they're 6 months, I mean, they're still valuable. But if he hasn't had any serious relationships, then you want to inquire as to why. What's going on? It depends on his age, if this is a red flag or not. If I'm talking about a 25-year-old woman, then okay, maybe it's not such a big red flag if a man of the same age has not had any long-term relationships in his history. But if he's a 40-year-old, then this is going to be kind of a creepy thing. Why hasn't he had any kind of relationships? What is wrong with him? I know it's cliche, but I would assume that this man has some severe social skill deficits, or maybe he has emotional unavailability. Maybe he is afraid of commitment and has anxious avoidant attachment. Something is wrong, and you're not going to be able to fix it by loving him. Look out for he's not had any long-term relationships, no significant relationship history, and no close male friends. A man without male friends is an oddball. He's a loner. And it's not all bad, But you have to learn how to have male on male friendships in order to develop your own masculinity as a man. So if he can't connect to other men, then he's gonna probably identify more with women. And if he identifies more with women, he's gonna be soft, he's gonna be weak, and he's not gonna be a properly masculine, confident man for you to invest in further. Number 5, if he doesn't have manners, if he's not polite, if he doesn't show any type of chivalry to you when you're out, then that's a problem. If he's always distracted and on his phone, if he's mistreating waiters or staff, or just generally rude and impolite with people, then obviously I'm talking to you like you are you are polite and you do have manners and you are none of those things. And he's like that, then you're just two different types of characters. You're not compatible. Let him go find someone who mirrors that level of impoliteness and that rudeness. But you want a man who has class, just like he wants a woman with class. And you deserve him to show you chivalry. It's not dead. Let him open doors for you. Sometimes there's a little bit of difficulty with opening the car door all the time, but especially with doors to places, right? Then you want to see him do that. You want to see him give you his jacket. You want to see him walk on the right side of the road. Those are not all deal breakers, but generally speaking, this entire behavioral system, like he has that level of decorum and respect, basically. You really want to see that communicated when you're out with him. If not, then I would say take a deep look at whether you have those expectations or whether you're kind of gonna lead the way there. Because if he doesn't demonstrate that he can learn those things, it might really breed a lot of resentment in you over the years as he makes a bad example for your future children and just not really feeling proud to be around him in public. That's a really bad position to be in. So I do encourage you to investigate further, bring it up and communicate. If there is no change in that area, then it's a red flag. Number 6, he gossips and talks badly about people, especially exes, but just gossiping in general. It's a very effeminate quality for a man to have. And it reflects poor character. A man who's not mature, he doesn't have the emotional maturity, or he doesn't have the ability to lead a group of others well. So he'll just sort of partake in bad behavior. That's not going to reflect well on the type of man he's going to be and how he's going to treat you. If he's gossiping about other people to you, then really what's going on in his head? That seems a bit petty, right? But if he's talking badly about his exes as well, what did he do? What responsibility is he taking? Is he accountable for the lessons that he learned and the mistakes that were made, even if it was just that he picked a kind of a crappy person to commit to? And will that happen again? Is he going to talk about all of your flaws when you break up with him, if you break up with him? But you know what I mean. These are things that you need to look out for. How does he communicate? Not just what does he say to you, but what does he not say to you? And what does he say about other people to you will reflect what he'll say about you to other people. Number 7, he just doesn't follow through. He doesn't do what he says he's gonna do. He doesn't show up. He isn't reliable. He's inconsistent. His actions don't line up with his words. I mean, this is no way to start a relationship. It's going to breed distrust, and that's disrespectful too, right? Like if he breaks promises with himself, even if he says I wanted to come, but I got all caught up in something and I couldn't make it. He can't keep promises with himself. And that's first and foremost self-respect, that's integrity, that's discipline. So it sort of snowballs into a lot of different character flaws. So if he doesn't do what he says he's gonna do, then don't be upset with yourself for being frustrated. This is a fundamental character flaw. Trust, reliability, consistency, integrity, all very important traits to have in a man. So definitely a red flag. Number 8, is he useless? Is he lazy? Is he dependent on you? I didn't want to say it, but a man like this is kind of like the quote unquote mama's boy or man-child. I think that's the more correct term in this case, because there's nothing wrong with the good part of being a mama's boy, and I think that's cultural too. But a man who is just dependent. He just sits around doing nothing, twiddling his thumbs, not paying attention. It's like a man-child. He's just absolutely irresponsible. And the laziness is such a bad trait to have in a man or a woman. You just can't have it in a partner as an adult. You need someone who is going to take the initiative, to show up and get the job done, and to make you feel like you're not alone in this, that you're not carrying the weight of the relationship all by yourself. But especially as the man, he has to show and demonstrate these leadership qualities to you. I mean, if you have children, is he just going to be sitting around on his phone surfing the internet, picking his nose, drinking a beer? Like, no. Then you're going to have a third child. And there's been lots of couples that I've spoken to who have had this dynamic, and it's never a good outcome. So nip it in the bud in the beginning. If he continues to act like this and just put you in a position where you're wearing the pants because he's not getting anything done, then it's a red flag, a non-negotiable quality to look for in a man. Someone who you can rely on to get things done, to show up, to not be lazy, and to be of service. So he's got to have that sense of duty and honor in order to be a man of competence. Number 9, does he lack boundaries, discipline, standards? These go together in my mind because, one, discipline is so important. This sort of piggybacks on a few of the things that I have mentioned before in regards to that internalized self-respect, leadership, integrity, just having good character, good brought up, all of that. Discipline is the ability to get things done even when you don't feel like it, to be committed to something. And all of these qualities are fundamental qualities for a healthy relationship. Discipline is going to play off visually. You're going to see it in his health and fitness. You're going to see it in his priorities in his life. Maybe he has sports or different talents, skills that he has developed through discipline. So that will be easy to see demonstrated, but when he doesn't have any discipline, that's when you're going to see what I talked about just before, when he's lazy, he's useless, and he's dependent. So you do want to see him display discipline. If he doesn't have any discipline and he doesn't know how to reinforce healthy boundaries with his friends, with his family, even with himself and with you as you get to know him, you want to see him having those healthy boundaries with you, because if he's too much of a pushover or if he's too agreeable, then that means he's not a good leader again. So you see how all of these traits are kind of interrelated on one way or the other. But also with this one, what I would say is if a man lacks discipline, lacks boundaries, lacks any of those things, then he's probably going to be out doing petty, frivolous, immature things like partying all the time, getting into trouble, just sort of blowing off steam, not doing anything of value with his time. That's really what this is about. How does he utilize that free time that he has? If you're disciplined, you're going to be investing in something for your future or for your family, whether it's your family of origin or your community or something like that. But if you don't have those kinds of meaningful interests and hobbies and priorities in your life, then he's probably not going to be able to do that with you either, unless you want to teach him how to do that. It's just a bad idea to get into a relationship with a man who needs to be taught how to do these basic fundamental things. There's a little bit more wiggle room in the opposite direction when a man teaches a woman how to do some of those things, because that's a natural order. The man is supposed to lead the woman a little bit. The woman leads the man too. But when it comes to that directionality of influence, you don't want to parent the man partner, right? Like, you want to really inspire him to his greatness. But if you have that dynamic inverted, you start to really resent him and the sexual polarity breaks down. So you really want to look for that in the man. And if you see that red flag, definitely keep an eye out and stay away. Number 10, no ambition, no drive, no mission. A man like this is aimless. He is directionless. He just doesn't know where he's going. If you don't have a mission, I understand that. Like, you want to develop that as you mature. You might not have a clear mission, although it's best to have a mission. There are a lot of men who are lacking mission. So let's say an amber flag here. But if he has no ambition at all, no drive, no fire in his belly, no passion. It's just he's a little bit empty, right? Like, how is he going to inspire you? How is he going to lead you? He needs to have that, I say motivation, but you know what I mean? It's like, it is a drive. It's, if nothing else, it's to leave a legacy or make your family proud or do right by them, level them up. A man has so many opportunities to think about other people other than himself. And if he doesn't have that motivation to get up, get out, and make something of himself, then something's wrong, you know. And I'm not trying to bash anyone who's struggling with any type of mental illness. I am a retired mental health professional, by the way, if you didn't know that. But if he's depressed or something, like, you kind of want to address that first. Like, what is he doing in order to light that fire inside of him? If he is purposeless, then you want to see him develop that first before you commit to him further. But if you're older, you know, you don't want to wait around for someone, especially if they're older too, to find that. Like, he's got to have some kind of direction. That's definitely a requirement. If you're in your 20s, I understand having a little bit more leeway here. But if you're older, definitely, he's got to have ambition, he's got to have drive, and that mission needs to be clarified enough that you can buy into it too. Because if you're looking at being in a partnership with him for the rest of your life, you better be partners on his mission as well. So that's got to fit together. So watch out for that. Number 11, he has a lack of emotional intelligence, or he has emotional instabilities. So that's either too little emotions, like he's closed off, he's emotionally unavailable, he doesn't connect in that way, or maybe he's too emotional, he's more emotional than you, he's all over the place, he's volatile, he's so angry, or maybe he's so sad or so, you know, lovey-dovey that he overshowers his emotions or your emotions with his. That's not a good sign either. There's some kind of imbalance there. And this includes being a poor communicator, right? Like, if a man doesn't have any type of emotional intelligence and he's just rambling off, or he's closed and guarded and withdrawn, then he's not going to communicate very well. So that's probably the first sign that you will see. He lacks eye contact, he doesn't reflect, he doesn't validate, he doesn't make you feel safe and comfortable, he's seen, heard, and you're just going to have a hard time connecting and relating to him. And you should be able to see this from early on, maybe in the texting, or maybe he's better at texting than in person, or maybe vice versa. But overall, if you get him to text, if you get him on the phone, on a video call, and then you get him in person, and see if you can develop that rapport. But if there's just that disconnect, or if he's all over the place and just spouting off different emotional charges for no real reason, then he's not self-regulated, and this is a problem. I think number 12 is my favorite red flag. Is he agreeable? Like, just way too agreeable? Does he put you on a pedestal? Does he seek your approval? This kind of man, this behavior, this is the classic Mr. Nice Guy. They're passive aggressive. They are covertly manipulative. They're kind of like a ticking time bomb. It's this pedestalizing of a woman that really concerns me, and the agreeableness, because then it's like, does he have a backbone even? Like, does he have his own opinion? Does he know how to stand up for himself or other people? No. If he worships you, then you're definitely going to resent him, but he's going to resent it too. You're going to really be complicit in him breaking down his own ego. He shouldn't be worshiping you. As fun as it can be, maybe for a short period of time, to be treated like a princess, it's not good for a relationship. It's not going to be a foundation that a healthy relationship can be built on. He should not be seeking your approval. What he should be doing to the future mother of his children and future wife is wanting to make her proud of him. So that's when he's going to be charged to do his mission, his ambitions, his drive, all of that sort of stuff, so that he can leave a legacy he can be proud of, and he can fulfill like that aspirations that he's been building your family on. But it's not to seek your approval. That's a very different construct. So keep that in mind and make sure that he's just not always smiling and nodding his head and agreeing with everything that you say. That's a bad sign. You want a man who's going to be able to say no. That's also a sign of boundaries, right? So look for that behavior and make sure that he has the backbone that you need him to have if you're going to be with him. All right, we're at number 13. Can you believe it? Last red flag. If he's indecisive, if he's passive, if he doesn't take charge and he's insecure, this is a really big red flag. This means he doesn't lead himself, he doesn't lead you, and he's not going to step in when you need it, when you need defending, when you need protecting, when you need leadership. Like he's just sort of a wallflower, and that doesn't bode well for your health of your relationship. There's going to be a lot of motivation for you to take the wheel and for you to wear the pants, and you don't want to wear the pants. I mean, if you do want to wear the pants, then you're going to be with a man that wants to wear a skirt, and that may be your thing. But if you're not, and you are aligned with my values, then I would suggest you find a man who is the opposite of those things, who is decisive, who is not passive, he's assertive, and he's going to want to take charge. Now, this is not being controlling. Being controlling is also another embedded red flag. So someone who takes charge is respectful of you and can collaborate with you so that you have some agency as well, of course, but he can take the lead and he can make you feel safe and comfortable and protected and provided for. So that secure attachment and that security in the relationship can only come from a person who has these qualities. So keep that in mind, ladies. I know you gentlemen are watching too. You keep this in mind as well for your own personal development. Well, I may not have fit each one into 60 seconds or less, but there are the 13 red flags. I hope they were helpful for you. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Do me a favor and comment below your most favorite standout aha red flag below, 1 through 13. And hopefully we'll have a whole big conversation about why yours was your favorite one. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I put out new videos every week. This was a pleasure. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you soon. I'm Dr. Burrowes. Ciao.